Case study: Henry Williams vs. James Bayley. Introduction. The 1866 case of Henry Williams vs. James Bayley is a landmark judgment in English contract law. It significantly broadened the legal understanding of undue influence and the concept of duress in contractual agreements. This case study delves into the details of the case, its legal significance, and its lasting impact. Facts. Mr. James Bayley, a father, found himself embroiled in a complex and unfortunate situation. His son, unbeknownst to him, had forged his signature on promissory notes, similar to IOUs, on multiple occasions. These forged notes were presented to Mr. Williams, a banker, who likely remained unaware of the forgery at the time. The situation escalated when the fraudulent activities came to light. Fearing potential legal repercussions for his son's actions, James Bayley entered into an agreement with the bank, represented by Mr. Williams. The situation escalated when the fraudulent activities came to light. Fearing potential legal repercussions for his son's actions, James Bayley entered into an agreement with the bank, represented by Mr. Williams. In exchange for the return of the forged notes, James Bayley agreed to an equitable mortgage. This type of mortgage used his own property as collateral, essentially putting his assets at risk to protect his son. Legal issue. The core legal question in Henry Williams vs. James Bayley hinged on the enforceability of the agreement. Did James Bayley enter into the mortgage freely? Or were there circumstances that unfairly pressured him into the deal? This case centered on the legal concept of undue influence and whether it rendered the agreement void. Relevant law. Undue influence. In contract law, undue influence occurs when one party takes unfair advantage of another party's vulnerability, dependence, or situation to coerce them into an agreement. Duress. Duress is a specific type of undue influence where a threat of violence or imprisonment is used to coerce someone into an agreement. It represents the most extreme form of undue influence. Reasoning and holding. James Bayley presented a compelling argument for undue influence. He argued that the agreement wasn't formed freely due to the implicit threat of his son's prosecution. Even though the bank might not have explicitly threatened legal action, James Bayley felt pressure to protect his son from potential criminal charges. The bank, represented by Mr. Williams, might have countered that James Bayley entered the agreement voluntarily and even benefited from it by retrieving the forged notes. The House of Lords, the highest court in the United Kingdom at the time, delivered a groundbreaking judgment in favor of James Bayley. The court acknowledged that while there wasn't a direct threat of legal action, the circumstances created a situation of duress. Fearful of his son's potential criminal charges, James Bayley couldn't be considered a free agent when he agreed to the mortgage. The court recognized the powerful emotional influence a parent has in protecting their child, extending the concept of undue influence beyond situations involving explicit threats. Significance. Broadened understanding of undue influence. The case established a broader understanding of undue influence. It recognized that even without direct threats of violence or imprisonment, a party can be under undue influence due to moral pressure or the desire to protect a loved one. This broadened the scope of situations where contracts might be deemed unenforceable. Focus on vulnerability. The decision highlighted the importance of considering the vulnerability of a party entering an agreement. In this case, James Bayley's fear for his son's well-being rendered him vulnerable to pressure. Conclusion. The Henry Williams v. James Bayley case serves as a crucial precedent for understanding undue influence in contracts. It established that courts will consider the presence of undue influence, even when the pressure is implicit, particularly when it exploits a party's vulnerability to protect a loved one. This case reminds us of the importance of fair dealing and protects individuals from entering contracts under undue pressure. If you are a law student and looking for more case studies, visit our website www.mylawtutor.net.